Everyone, I'm Ryan Schwartz, Group Product Marketing Manager here at Abnormal Security, located outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Looking forward to talking to you today about security coaching in the age of AI. What do we mean by security coaching in the age of AI? Well, when we talk about security coaching, of course, we're talking about security awareness and training, but that space has evolved significantly in the time since, well, it was introduced. Security awareness and training from the outside, for someone who actually hadn't really been part of that space prior to talking to about 100 of our customers in the last few months, saw it as something of a checkbox. And I know many people I talk to see it as a checkbox part of security, but it's significantly more than that. It's way bigger than training. In fact, security awareness training is really becoming this aspect of this larger human risk management mission overall. This idea of understanding and quantifying the risk within your organization and then adjusting user behavior to change those risk levels and will ultimately reduce it. And it's still an unsolved problem. Effectively training employees is a $1.3 billion line item on your budget. Well, not yours specifically, but the entire market in general, because behavior hasn't been changed by current training methods. And that's really just the minimum size for this space right now. I've seen estimates as high as $5 to $20 billion in spend to try to solve this problem, and the urgency behind it is real. We're seeing 20% growth globally in organizations trying to implement new solutions and new ways of addressing this user risk with effective training methodologies. And they want to use AI when they do that. Nearly 70% of your security peers want to use AI in their security awareness training. How do I know? That's not just a number I pulled out of thin air, I promise you. That's actually from a survey that we had put out just before RSA, actually, and talked to 300 security leaders and practitioners to understand what some of their needs were around security awareness training. And that was one of our biggest findings. 70% wanted AI in their training solutions, which makes sense because that helps with that behavioral analysis piece significantly. But it's a crowded space. There are over 60 vendors, probably more, to be honest. How do you know which one is the one that's going to help to change user behavior? How do you know it's the one that's going to help you fill the 3 buckets here that I've learned from customers are some of the most critical pieces to effective security awareness training? The first step and the first thing that most organizations I speak to want to do is prepare users to spot real threats, which of course makes sense. You want to answer the question of, are your employees ready if that advanced attack does hit their inbox? Are yours ready? Do you know? You want to change user behavior. Are the folks in your organization actually prone to report, or are they prone to ignore? Or as one of our customers so succinctly put it, the clickers be clicking. Are people clicking those links to test them? Are they entering their credentials into landing pages without thinking twice? Well, you want to know what the answer to that question is, and you want to be able to change that behavior once you know. And then finally, you want to meet compliance goals. Of course, again, security awareness training is not a checkbox. We know that. But you still need to be aware of course, board expectations and cyber insure requirements and keep auditors satisfied. So making sure that your platform can do all of those things is also critical. But current solutions don't live up to those expectations. Employees are still falling for attacks. Generic simulations don't reflect the reality that an employee faces. Knowing that your finance team is susceptible to QR code phishing when they're only ever seeing credential phishing is really great information. But, and I've used this analogy quite a bit, so if there are any of our customers out there, you may have heard this. It's like knowing that your catcher can't pitch. Sure, that's good to know. You're not going to put him on the mound, but you never were anyway. So is that information really doing anything for you? You want to make sure that good security habits can stick, right? And traditional solutions currently are not doing that. Training content is unengaging. It's outdated. Many customers I've spoken to said that training videos that they have today have workflows in them that don't even exist within their organization, and they can't edit those out. Well, if you put that in front of someone and they see something that isn't actually relevant to them or to their organization or to their role, well, they're going to tune out, and they are going to see it as a checkbox, and then that learning is not going to stay with them. And it's too much work to manage. The folks that I talk to at all of these organizations that I've had the pleasure of speaking with are incredibly passionate about what they do in training employees, in trying to change their security behaviors. But there's so much to do for such lean teams, whether that's making sure that the correct templates are being added to simulation cadences, that the right content is being sent out for annual training. Building that baseline, that fundamental baseline takes so much work that they can't even often put in the work for some of those bigger efforts like seminars and workshops and roadshows and ongoing newsletters. There's so many things that can be done to effectively train employees and change their behavior. But when you have a ton of manual work in front of you to just get to from 0 to 1, you can't really work on those other things. And you don't just have to take my word for it either. If we go back to that survey I mentioned earlier, these are some of the statistics that we also had received back from those leaders and practitioners that we had interviewed. Well, 1 in 2 note that they want hyper-personalized phishing simulations. They want the ability to send out phishing simulations that are relevant to their employees. 3/4 want relevant, timely, and engaging coaching. They want to make sure that when someone fails that simulation, they're receiving something that's relevant to them, that gives actionable tips for that employee, not generic content that might not be of any use to them for the next simulation. And 71% want automated program management. They want a way to automate these manual processes to make their lives easier, sure, but also to work on these bigger picture items by making sure that their fundamentals are sound. How are we looking to address that as a normal AI? Well, if we take each challenge on the left here point by point and we look at employees still falling for phishing attacks, first and foremost, we're building those hyper-personalized phishing simulations. And I'll show you in a second what that looks like and what I mean when I say that. Yes, employees are still vulnerable because they aren't being engaged effectively by training materials. Well, we're instantly delivering just-in-time contextual coaching and AI-generated video content. I'll get to that in a second as well. And of course, there's no time to improve programs because, again, there's so much manual work to do. Well, we're automating, surprise, surprise, through AI, that program management, whether that's the ongoing monthly cadence of your phishing simulations and then picking the next attack for everybody that's relevant to them and sending it out automatically so you don't have to, or whether that's automatically generating the right annual training content for your organization. We're taking that on and then giving you the data you need to be able to analyze the results. So what does AI Phishing Coach ultimately look like? Well, I kind of talked about in that last slide, but if you look at those 3 bullets in the middle of the left-hand column here, those are the 3 component parts of AI Phishing Coach. First and foremost, we're using agentic AI to personalize phishing simulations by scouring our threat log and the attacks that we've stopped that are targeting you or that have been reported by your users through our AI security mailbox, and turning those into real simulations to prepare people for, again, what they may actually see in their inbox were something to make it there. Generative AI is being used to then coach those employees when they fail, or to even send them a kudos email when they successfully report, because whatever path someone takes, we want to reinforce that good behavior, the reporting behavior, or we want to change that negative behavior, and we want to give them actionable, relevant tips for them to do so. And finally, AI is creating organization-specific content for your annual training videos in minutes, not only based on the threats that we're stopping, but also based on our understanding of your visual identity and logos and industry nuance. If you're in the construction industry, it might talk about engineering. If you're in the finance industry, it might talk about banking. We want to keep it relevant to your organization. So when an employee takes this training, they go, wow, this is branded like my company. This is specific to what we do. This must be relevant, and it must be something that I should pay attention to. And what does that do? Well, I'll get into this in a second here and reiterate it, but ultimately what we're finding that this does for the customers that have moved forward with using and testing AI phishing coaches, it does reduce phishing susceptibility because people are now more vigilant because they're aware of what is actually going to be attacking them. We see higher engagement rates and learning retention and security training because the content is, again, personalized and relevant. And we see hours saved that would have been spent curating and managing cadences and content creation. And then to double click in just one step further and show you exactly how this works, well, it deploys in seconds. Really, all you have to do is allow us to send those simulations, but it's part of the abnormal AI platform. So because of that, we can already send those simulations out. We already have that understanding of the threats that are in your environment, and we can take those from the threat log, defang them, and send them out to your employees. And then, as you see here, adapt in real time to adjust those threats over time each month so that someone's receiving what's relevant to them. They may receive an entirely different attack the next month or from their coworkers because of the AI training strategy and understanding that's being built and adjusted over time based on training behaviors and the threat landscape for each individual employee. Then just-in-time coaching is sent out. As I mentioned, generative AI is used to create, whether it's a landing page, when someone clicks a link in a phishing simulation, or an email that's kicked off automatically when someone interacts and forwards or replies to a text-only simulation. They will get generative AI coaching with actionable tips for them on how to be more vigilant in the future. And again, if they report as well, we're reinforcing that behavior with a kudos email that has the same kind of content, but ultimately a different tone. And then finally, AI-powered video content. We're creating that annual training video from our understanding of you and our understanding of what best practice topics are required in an annual training video, whether that's adhering to or aligning with what NIST or the CIS framework or these other regulatory bodies ultimately help us define as the baseline topics for an annual training video. And then that content itself can be administered through Abnormal, either as a magic link, or everything we create is SCORM compatible as well, because you have a learning management system, and we want to make sure you can upload to that and track through there if necessary. So what does this do? Well, you can see that quote on the left there from one of our customers. But ultimately, to reiterate, what it does is it reduces phishing susceptibility. It increases engagement rates and makes people pay attention to the training that they receive, and improves productivity for your security awareness training team overall by taking away a lot of that manual work without taking away the impactful part, which is analyzing that data and understanding, is this changing user behavior? So with that, I thank you all for your time. Have a great rest of Innovate and have a great rest of the day.